There died a small country deep in the forest, encircled by fog and winds. In ancient days, a great battle was fought there, and many died. But a savior rose and delivered their dead before disappearing into the forest darkness. Only the drifting fog knew the savior's identity. The people called him Dragon of the Forest and built a sanctuary in tribute to his deeds. In time, only a distant legend remained, and the sanctuary became the royal graveyard. All was silent. The ancient legend says that one day the Dragon of the Forest shall return, bearing artifacts of powerful magic. Until that time comes, the sanctuary sleeps.
Well, how's that for an intro for you? Well, hello there, everybody. This is me again. We're playing another Kingsfield game. Now, I have done Kingsfield on my channel, and you're probably going, now, Seth, you liar, you swine. I thought you've already played Kingsfield. Well, if you're a smart person, and you actually paid attention in class instead of drawing dicks on your paper, you would probably know that Kingsfield 1 in America was actually Kingsfield 2, and Kingsfield 2 in America was actually Kingsfield 3, and the Ancient City was the last game in the series. Technically, is Kingsfield 4. I think most people who've heard of this series probably know this by now. It's a little bit like the Final Fantasy 3 versus 6 debate, you know. Kingsfield 1 Original, or Kingsfield Japan as I'll just call it, only came out in Japan and was never actually localized. There have been fan translation patches, but you need to have a game. Now, how much is an average copy of this game? In pristine, probably with the box, around $80 to $100, and I don't think it's worth it, personally. However, there's a little bit of a thing you can do that doesn't involve yar har, and that's downloading the Sword of Moonlight editor kit, which came with the Japanese copy of Kingsfield 4, only released in Japan, and amazingly, that's actually freeware now. You can get that from the Internet Archive. I'll actually link that, and I'll actually link a RAR file that I have. I've packed in this version that we're running today, as well as the modern kind of QOL things. I'll talk about it when we get into it. So anyways, yeah, this was actually released unofficially, but it's technically the same game as Kingsfield 1 Japan, inside of Sword of Moonlight editor, to show people, hey, look what you can do with this, and they remade the whole game. Which was actually FromSoft developers, it wasn't fans. This is actually 100% developed by From Software. Man, you know, I've had this on my hard drive for a long time, just kind of sitting there, not doing much with it. And, yeah. So, this is how I have my, you know, thing. It says it's a PlayStation 3 controller, but it's actually a PS2 controller plugged into a USB. My ZD that I usually use actually doesn't work with this, so kind of sucks. So we're gonna use that instead. Now this hopefully is as good as it's gonna get. Like I said, it's about $80 to $100 for a copy of Kingsfield 1 for PlayStation. You guys probably already know this. I own all the Kingsfield games except for the original Japanese first one, but that's all good. So what was Sword of Moonlight editor, you might ask? It was, like I said, a development tool. It essentially runs off the same or a modified engine of Kingsfield 4, so if it looks very familiar to that game, that's why. I have played all the Kingsfield games before. My favorite is America #1, because it's just a fucking wonderful game. Now this game's good. Let's not say it's bad. I don't think it's as good as the sequel technically is, or later games in the series for that matter. It's actually more of a proof of concept. You know, Demon Souls was like a POC for Dark Souls, right? That's kind of how this game is. Now, like I said, this is a remake, but it's coded exactly the same, but there's a lot of issues. Number one, the final boss. He had like 60-something thousand health. I promptly went in and changed that to be a little bit more fair. There also was a few issues I've ran into in regards to key items proccing, but I think it's because I fucked up the coding. Now, a couple other differences I've actually modded in here. I haven't changed anything with the difficulty, the leveling, anything like that. The only differences I've added is I've added the ability to save in the menu, as well as sprinting. This is also really nice if you've played the other Kingsfield games, because yeah, the first Kingsfield game didn't have sprinting. Kinda sucks, but it's not a very long game. I'm not going to be using saving in menu, unless I want to demonstrate something very specifically. But I did include that, so like I said, in the description I have my Dropbox. You can go ahead and get all the EXEs. Promises there's no viruses. Do I really look like I'm the kind of guy that knows how to code a virus, honestly? I have a README in there. You can read through all the tech data, all that sort of jam. I made it as simplistic and concise as humanly possible. So, yeah. So what is Kingsfield? Before we get into it, it's a first-person dungeon crawler, and yeah, I also increased the turning speed a little bit. Normally it's like half of this, so it would be like this slow, so I changed that as well. So Kingsfield's a dungeon crawler. If you've played Kingsfield 2 America, or seen my playthrough of that as well, you'll be like, wow, this is really familiar, and it's because it uses like a lot of the same tropes, and I'll get into it when we get there. So, this game's hard. I don't think it's as hard as other games in the series. I wouldn't even call this a very frustrating game. More obtuse, but, you know, it wasn't a huge success. Allegedly, it was an overnight success by word of mouth, but that's word of mouth for you, so I don't trust it. I think the sequels do it way better. I've played this twice now, by the way, as well, so I'm not 120% familiar, so I'm going right off of that. So before we get started, I have to explain this, and if you're like, oh, well, oh, yourself. So like I said, I have everything configured. So store items, this pretty much just lets you put items in another area, takes them out of your menu. Really handy. Status, look at all these fucking numbers, dude. This is not as complex as later games in the series gets, trust me. Equipment, we start with just a sword, just like all Kingsfield games, pretty much. We also have a magic spell, Light Needle. That's the only spell we're going to use for a while. There is support magic, but we don't have any just yet. That's more like, you know, healing, dispoison, stuff like that. And we have one medicinal herb. So, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so I have played this game twice, and I'm going to be sprinting. I'll tell you how to control it. So this is actually an important thing. If you've played other Kingsfield games, you'll be like, hey, this looks like it's important. It is. It's a teleport pad, but that doesn't come until later. So I have it configured so you move left and right with the strafe buttons. You can look up and down with the shoulder buttons. Square's attack, I'm not going to use it, but triangle is your magic. Circle's menu, X is interact, you hold it down, you sprint. This game does not have the same, like, Kingsfield 2 and 3 and 4, they all have what's called the select button, it's just called button. This game doesn't have that, so I'm actually going to be using store item, because when we go to use item, the first thing that's going to be up is the, like, herb. So, we're going to fix it to be that. We'll have gold, XP, you get XP from killing enemies, gold from just drops. Class. This game does have an important thing. You need to be at least to level 21 to finish the game, which is not very inachievable. It's actually very easy. HP, that's your health. Magic points, that's your sissy la la girly girl magic. Strength and magic, those are just basically modifiers to your actual attack. Status, normal. This has everything that the other Kingsfield games has, like paralysis, poison, all that shit. That's about it. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So Kingsfield's a dungeon crawler, and I can't open that door until literally the end of the game. So, we can't break the barrels. I think you can code that into the engine, but I'm just tapping X to pick up items like that. And we can hear some skelemans over there. We can't actually, like I said, get there till the very end of the game. Trust me, it's literally the end of the game over there. This is not a very long game. If you've played Kingsfield 4 or even, you know, later games. I know there's a secret wall there. I'm just showing off this area first. Kingsfield's full of secret shit, like lots of it. That chest we can't open till the end of the game as well. Yeah. So you can't open certain things until way later. And yeah, that guy seems to be dead. He's not having a good time. And you can change these messages if you want to with the editor. But Kingsfield's all about that fucking secret, you know, shit, baby. I don't know why I couldn't pick that up. There we go. Yeah, these guys, if you've played Kingsfield 4, you'll be like, wow, this looks really familiar. That's because it is the same engine. There's also nothing over here, which is really weird. But when you walk over here, it's a trigger actually spawns. Oh no, it's a mum man! Yeah, so the bars at the top, the red one's my stamina, and the blue one's my magic stamina. You can only cast spells when you have max magic stamina. Now, you can do attacks like I'm doing right here, but they don't do as much damage if they're not charged up. But this punk goes down like a bitch, and we can get a knight sword. We're going to be using that for a while. There is sword magic in this game. I'm going to turn the sound down just a tiny bit, because it's just... It doesn't feel like it should be that loud, but I'm going to turn it down just a wee bit just in case. So, yeah, I love the Kingsfield games. They're absolutely some of my favorite dungeon crawlers. It reminds me a lot of Daggerfall, so obviously I love Daggerfall. Now, over here is some more garbo we can't open till later, but I'll just show you guys how the combat works. It's pretty basic. You just hit shit, and it dies. I haven't changed anything except the final boss in the coding. So if you're like, this looks really easy, believe me, the first 2 floors of this game, they're an absolute joke, it feels like at first. But once you start getting into the later floors, there's only 5. Later Kingsfield games are actually quite long. This game's only about 4 or 5 hours if you know what you're doing. Probably even faster if I was really trying it. But no, it's one of those things where the game is structured in a way, if you've played other Kingsfield games, this should feel very familiar. You're not going to have any crazy, you know, like massive maps like there is in the later games. There's no towns. There's actually hardly any NPCs. So, alright, so Bloodstone, by the way, I don't know why it's having such an issue with me picking that up. I'm going to blame it being on the fact that I changed the, like the system settings before I recorded, so it's probably like, oh, it's different! Because remember, this is actually an engine running 2000s era coding through 1994, like ass backwards coding, and then like filtered through a 2024 computer. So there's a lot of shit going on with this. And like I said, the README, I'll include that in the file if you want to do all this. Now, over here is the church. This NPC, this is a big deal, okay? So this guy over here, right, this dude, my first time playing, I tried actually talking to him and exhausting his dialogue, and I couldn't give him the item, like, that he needs. So I'm just not going to talk to him for that sake. I've done it every time I've played the game as well. I literally had to restart the game, like, just to be able to finish this. Oh, and this is some scumbag. He just talks to you. I don't really care. So there's really not that much story to Kingsfield, if you're curious. And we also save at the crosses in this game. There's my other characters, if you're really curious. I'm mashing that button. What the fuck is up with that? So, anyways. Yeah, there's these arrow traps. Now, look. You're not really supposed to get through this, but you totally can, and I think that's what actually broke the game the first time I played it, because you're not supposed to go to that floor yet. You can go through there. It's not impossible. But the first area you want to go through technically, and this game is pretty non-linear, but it is linear. So there's some Skelemans down there. We can't really do anything about them for a very long time. I'm not even kidding. It's like the end of the game. That's how long it's going to be till we open that door. We're going to go in the area, but we're not going to open the door for a very long time. And yeah, there's also beds. can have items in them. Only a few do. Now, there's a save system here. Or sorry, save point. NPCs don't really do much. I do not know where that lag is coming through with my delay, or my inputs. That's really nasty. I'm trying not to think about it too much. But here's our first merchant. We also can't open these chests till way, way later. So, welcome to Light Shop. You can't put up a good fight without proper equipment. I offer fine wares at reasonable prices. And, yeah, so all the items in the game can be found. So, pretty much all this is a scam. I'm gonna just sell him these short swords. And we do need some money. I'm not actually pulling your leg. We do need money. Money is only important for the beginning of the game, and then it becomes trivial. It's like every Kingsfield game ever. It becomes immediately trivial the moment you get to the end game. This is the default movement speed. I haven't changed it. Like I said, the only thing I've changed is the strafe speed, or sorry, the turning speed. Now, these are head eaters. Anyone who's played any of the Kingsfield games will go, hey, I know these guys. Yeah, we all do. They're literally in every single Kingsfield game. In this one, they can inflict poison, but it's their later versions, not the current versions. There's a... well, I don't really know what to call that. They have BJ face ents. This game is, like, notoriously trippy. It's very, Japanese. I can't really say that any better as an American, but this game is, on a scale of Japan, it's probably like a Tokyo, not a full-blown country. You know, it's not super wild and crazy, but the original PlayStation 1 graphics were quite interesting. And no, these ents don't actually move. They're programmed to strafe from side to side, but they don't actually move from their position. This is not a glitch. So, I can see someone going, now Seth, this game looks really dodgy. This does not look very fun. Well, you're just wrong, okay? This game is fantastic. I've played the shit out of it. I love it. So over here, I'm gonna kill these ents for XP and just to talk about it a little bit. You might be like, this looks like a really awkward game. And to me, this is engaging, okay? This is like the genuine definition of engagement, okay? Talk about your YouTube engagement, like, comment, subscribe on the video, talk to me so I can heart it and tell you all about my day, okay? It's like that, alright? This shit's... I had a feeling that was gonna happen. I'm like, there's something creeping up on me, I'm pretty sure. This is absolutely engaging. This is amazing. And someone can be like, this looks really rough. Well, you know what the magic is? If you think it's too easy, or you think it's too hard, using the Sword of Moonlight editor, you can actually make this game as difficult or as easy as you want. Now, like I said, it's not really programmed correctly, and there's not a lot of information out there, so when things happen, I've also attached the README to explain glitches. And you're probably like, this doesn't seem like you're doing that much damage, and you're not wrong. However, what I'm doing right now is buffing up my strength, because if I buff up my strength, these guys should only take me a few hits by the end of the dungeon proper. So, but yeah, magic is really scarce in the beginning of each Kingsfield game. You do not get very much to play with. And you're probably like, now Seth, you sold bloodstones. I thought those were, like, useful items to get rid of bad status effects. That's correct in other Kingsfield games. In this Kingsfield game specifically, they're just loot. They're like the jawbones in Ancient City, or the crystal shards in Kingsfield American. I can't remember what the other things were. There was a few other goodies like that in later Kingsfield games, I'm pretty sure. But there's always loot items. This game does not have... Alright, this is where it gets kind of gross. And if you're like, oh, this looks really yucky. Alright, level up, bitches. Okay, here we go. So this room is also a little bit of a red herring, but it does have an actual purpose. It's to show you what dragon rooms are like. And if you've played Kingsfield 2 American, you're going to go, hey, wait a minute, this starts to... oh, I've seen this before. I know what this is all about, and you're absolutely correct. Like I said, if you've played Kingsfield American first, this is going to feel a little deja vu-y, because it's exactly like Kingsfield 1 American, with just a slight fresh coat of paint and a little bit more simplified. But, Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you want to do in the early game. You don't need to grind. There's never any point in any of the Kingsfield games where you absolutely need to grind enemies. It's advisable, at least to me, to actually kill everything you see in this game at least once. Within reason, of course. I don't kill ghosts, because ghosts take absolutely forever to kill. They are just not worth your time. They suck. Now, these guys can cast poison on me if they hit me, and I really don't want to deal with that, because, well, we have like 37 HP. Every time you level up, you get a little bit more magic, you get a little bit more HP. So, the beginning of every Kingsfield game is rough. Now, I'd say this game kicks like right into overdrive in probably floor 3. There's only 5. Each level is probably only about an hour and a half tops. If you know what you're doing, you can probably do it way faster. That's also why I have sprint enabled. Now, I'm not using any guides. Pretty much everything I'm doing is 100% off of instinct and having finished the game recently. Enemies can also drop loot randomly. And this is a required key, by the way. We absolute... Fucking hell, I had to smash the button for some reason to do that. Never had any issues until I changed the thing. I'm dead serious. Once I changed the resolution, I swear to God, the game was like, alright, fuck it, whatever, dude. It's not gonna work properly no more. So, every enemy in the game... I'm gonna heal just one. Because I don't want to get one-shot by something stupid and get really angry. Every Kingsfield game starts off really rough, but there's always that point where they go, okay, now it's a fun, fucking awesome game. I am absolutely enthralled by games like this, and I cannot tell you why. There's something very mystical about them to me, and it's something to do with the fact that I really love first-person dungeon crawlers. My favorite of all of them is Daggerfall. I also have a playthrough of that. There's something really engrossing about these kinds of games to me. And of course, I absolutely adore the Soul series as well, which I hope you guys are enjoying as I put up here. So, we'll take some titty plate. Yeah! Give me that. Give me that. There we go, baby. Getting beefy and strong right off the bat. I took my fucking vitamins today, man. Alright. So there is also another key we're trying to find in this dungeon as well. Now, how long is this game on average? Well, your first time, I'd say it probably took me about maybe 8 hours. It's a pretty average length game. It's nowhere near as long as other Kingsfield games. The keys are not very complex. Caves also don't have hidden doorways in them yet. I don't think the coding could have like allowed that. So later Kingsfield games have a lot of devious bullshit in them. And you're probably like, oh, what kind of bullshit are you talking about? Oh, you know, disappearing floors, fucking enemies that can just wombo combo you with nuclear blasts, you know, those sorts of things. This game is pretty grounded. There's not a lot of shit in the game that's absolutely just ungodly horrible when you first come across it. That really only applies to the final dungeon, which is just... It's pretty yucky. I'll just say that. That dungeon is absolutely a hellhole. And for a lot of reasons. I'm not really bothered by grinding on these guys a little bit more. Because some reason it was just coded that way, I think, to be as difficult as possible because it's the last dungeon. But yeah, no joke. I had to do a lot of tweaking to the internals of the game. Not very many, but just enough to where it was annoying. One of the biggest problems I had initially was getting the resolution correct. In the config that I have set up, I have the paste in you can do for that in the questions and stuff section at the bottom. This game does not support like proper widescreen. Like I have a 1920 by like 1080 screen. It can only support up to like 1280 768 or something fucking weird. And don't be like, well, why don't you just fucking use an emulator and the fucking ISO of the game? Because I know this sounds weird to some people, but this is in an age of where, or well, 2024. We're living in an age where games and stuff are just disappearing, and you can say that's what emulators are great for and ISOs. That's true, but I personally don't spend a lot of money, and I would much prefer to have the physical copy for myself. It's a very old-fashioned way of looking at things. I'm very well aware of it, but it's very, very important to me to have like some sort of. It's kind of like people like going, oh, I gotta get the remake and the reboot and the remaster. No, I want the original. Fuck it. I don't care if it's a jump pain fucking 300 hoops I gotta go through to get it to run. It's fucking worth it when it gets happening. Like, I sat there for like 2 days straight playing this. I was so fucking enthralled. And I'm not lost, by the way. I do know where I'm at. The dungeons are nowhere as complex because the map design is nowhere as complex as later games in the series. Trust me, there's a lot of stuff you're gonna. Oh, hi, Framped. How's it going? How are you doing, King Seeker Framped? Are you gonna roar for YouTube, or are you just gonna do nothing about it? Oh, he went. Ooh, okay. So, no, trust me. There's something really magical to me about this kind of game. I spent like 2 days playing this, man. I fucking sacrificed like hours of my precious RuneScape free time having Framped stop it. Having worked about, oh, I don't know how many hours this week, way too many. And that Ent always respawns, by the way. And I think we're pretty much good. We're going to go do the next part of the dungeon. So, like, playing Kingsfield 1994, you know, I could have easily been Framped. Can you stop? You're fine. He's like, I want to go out there. There's other cats. There's other things. There's so many different people out there I haven't talked to and smelled. I haven't smelled their assholes. But, no. I absolutely am just stoked to get games like this running. And see, we're already two-shotting enemies. We've already leveled up enough to where we can do that to the head eaters. And yeah, I'm not kidding. There is a key in here that I actually want to pick up. The Dragon Cup, by the way, is 100% required. Alright. This game is not as non-linear as later Kingsfield games. So, and you thought I was kidding when I was like, oh, we're going to level up like crazy. Totally, dude. Totally. You do not need to grind. We're already level 5, man. We're making fucking gains. This game is nowhere near as non-linear and complicated. So, right off the bat, I'm going to spoil it. There's no mimics in this game. There's no disappearing multi-layer floor traps like the fun of Kingsfield 2 and 1. There's no no wall spears, which is a damn shame. There's no poison gas traps. This is as basic as Kingsfield ever is, and I kind of have a soft hard-on for it, if I'm honest. And yeah, this is not also a bug. This is how enemies in Kingsfield actually work. They work off of, like, sectors. I'm thinking of this in Doom terminology, but they work off of, like, sectors where if they're not allowed to go past it, the game will say enemy cannot pass over sector. If you really want to do it, I'm sure you can up the game speed on the enemies and, like, take away all those flags on it, but I'm not doing that because I'm trying to keep it as authentic as humanly possible. I kept sprinting in because, holy shit, why would you not want to? I've also changed the menu. It's not normally blue like that. I just think it looks pretty. And I've also changed the compass and the heads-up display for my stats as well. You can do this all in Moonlight Editor if you're curious. And yeah, I think Kingsfield 4 is a good game. I've played it once. And then I started a second playthrough, and I stopped playing it, unfortunately. I played it at a very bad time in life. I'm just going to double check because I can't... This is the only thing that sucks. If you're like, oh, well, this game looks really rough. It is, admittedly. But it's kind of part of the charm. And I think that, like, this kind of, like, game... I heard an end. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, no, that's him just smacking his hands around. Yeah, we're clear. We can go on to the next part of the dungeon. We're like 20 minutes in. These kinds of games, in my mind, are just fucking amazing. I can't explain it. So we need around... Actually, no, there's some items in here we can pick up. I completely forgot about this. So, hey! I've played Kingsfield America. This looks mighty familiar, don't it? Well, that's where we're going to get started. That's our first objective in the game, is to try and get that fountain up. Because what it does is it gives you... health and magic. So, go figure. Alright, so let's go ahead and get rid of these bloodstones. We have almost enough gold. We need 1.8k. And I guess we'll might as well get the shield while we're at it too. So I'll save. Saving, like I said, done at crosses. I've also enabled it in the menus as well. Other Kingsfield games have just like one location where you save the game at in random locations, so you know what I mean. I'm just so fucking stoked. I love this game. If it isn't apparent that I love these kinds of games, I don't know what is. Also, if you've played Kingsfield 2 American, I wonder what's behind this illusory wall. Oh no, it's a big scary Skeleman. He doesn't have the dick waggle attack, unfortunately, but they have Kingsfield 4 blocking AI, which is admittedly still pretty bad. So they're nowhere near as insanely aggressive as the Kingsfield 2 skeletons, because holy shit, they will fuck you up, man. They don't play around. All right, so this is something you also have to get used to in this game. Oh yeah, you got to remember what boxes you've opened up, which is an absolute bullshit thing, but you know what? I'm just gonna roll with it and pretend it's not a big problem. I can look past a lot of the flaws of this game. I really can, because, you know, this is like I said, when people go, oh, it needs a remake, it needs a reboot, whatever, there's something really charming about this kind of a game, especially when it's so primitive that it's just, it's quaint, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh wow, look at this fucking game, it looks so fucking cringe. I'm actually gonna go in here to get loot. So, this is what I mean. Like, this spider, I know what it is. It's a spider. Why does the spider have blood on every leg? Because you need to know that the spider's dangerous, okay? It's got blood on every leg because it wanted to keep things simple, alright? There's nothing inside there. You need to know this, alright? God damn it, can you tell I love this game? For all the wrong reasons, probably. But, you know, this is the thing. If you're like, oh, this looks really easy, I bet $5 I could do this better than you're playing it. This is a baby game. Oh yeah, well, could a baby kill 2 head eaters in one fucking swing? Well, after 2 swings. That door's locked, by the way. We need to get a special key that we need to get from the priest. So, I completely derailed myself because I'm an idiot and don't know how to communicate properly, but every key in this game is sequential and needs to be gotten sequentially because, well, if you don't get all the right keys, you can't finish the game. Now, much like Kingsfield 1 American, you do not need to get every single item. There's actually 2 items in this game I don't know how to get. The skull armor, and I don't know how to get the triple fang. Those are the only items in the game I have no fucking earthly idea or care to try and find. Because I actually don't care. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I could really care and go out of my way to look on the internet for it, but psh, why would I do that? That's fucking lame. Alright, so this guy also has... Can you hear me mashing the button? I'm genuinely mashing. I don't know why it's doing that. Alright, so bloodstones, like I said, if you have somehow had a stroke, like I do every 5 minutes. Also, I forgot to mention, this is unique to Kingsfield 1 American, or sorry, Japanese. There's fucking spike pits. Now, you're probably like, oh, that doesn't seem so dangerous, kind of fucking idiot doesn't notice it. Well, it is also because we're running this in a modern engine, but they actually were a lot harder to see in the original game. Now, there's also 2 other types of pits. Can you guess what they are? If poison was your first, guess, ding, you're a genius. Do you want to know what the third one is? Infinite bottom pit. Yeah, think about that. Fucking, they don't play around in this game, okay? They don't start showing up until a little bit later, but they're fucking awful. What Kingsfield 1 does, like, the deceptively easy startup, and then just goes fucking dick out hard, beats the hell out of you. It's not a fucking easy game. These pits that I'm walking around, they don't do anything. This guy doesn't do fucking jack shit. He just stands around like an idiot and looks like he's fucking got shit up his ass. He's absolutely useless. NPCs, like I said, you can talk to, but I'm not talking to a lot of them because they don't have anything important to tell me that I already don't know. But this is a required area we need to go through. Number 1, this is where you get the Light family key. If you couldn't tell, Light was the last name of that merchant back there. This is the commoner grave, I know that. I'm just getting some more XP. So, the Light family key opens up Light family chests. As well as, I think it opens up one door. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Mummies, by the way, if they hit you, they actually cause slowdown, and they'll fucking wombo combo you. Enemies are so damn dangerous in this game, you have no idea until you played it. Everyone's like, oh, you gotta do the circle strafe. See, look, I'm a pro. This is easy. This is a super easy baby game. So that works on a handful of enemies. This is where you start to go, oh shit. It's because later on in the game, enemies start to get a little bit more advanced. And by advanced, I mean they can cast spells at you that are like 1/3 of your health a hit. They can block damage a little bit. I think that might be a little bit of the Sword of Moonlight in the code. I'm not sure if enemies could do that in Kingsfield later games as well. But, yeah, they can block your damage. They can also fucking... Oh, it's just nasty. If you've played Kingsfield, like, 2 and 3, you'll understand pretty hard, like, how dangerous some enemies can actually get. Nothing is on the level of atomic assholes, as I called them. There's poison traps up ahead, by the way. They do get pretty bad, but they are nowhere near as bad in this game. The final dungeon, though, that shit will just narrow your health down pretty quick. I'm not even exaggerating when the max HP you're going to probably end the game at is like 320 or so. And most enemies at that point in the game, they hit you for like fucking 150 a hit. That's not even an exaggeration. And they do it rapid fire. So if you're like, oh, this looks really fucking easy, wait till we get to floor 3, asshole. That's where shit starts to get real serious, okay? Floor 1 and 2, that's a baby's game. Floor 3, that's where men are born. Floor 4, well, it's actually not that bad. The difficulty ramp up is a bit awkward in this game. Let's not make a mistake about it. It's not exactly the most difficult at the start. But enemies later on, they just... Oh my god, dude, they hit like so much fucking damage, it's unbelievable. And if you're like, this looks pretty easy, Seth, I think I could try this out. Well, why don't you go in the description, download the game, and give it a try. It's free. But someone can be like, this looks really jank. Well... Yeah. But if you're actually a pretty cool person, you'll actually know there is actually a fan remake of Kingsfield 2, or Kingsfield American, that is included, I think, in like a few websites. It's really hard to find information for this game, if you couldn't tell, because, well, it's a little obscure. It's a little underground, you know? When people are like, oh, I play underground games. I'm like, dude, you didn't spend like your whole afternoon getting this shit to run. I guarantee you that. So, yeah, trust me, there's a lot of shit in this game that's like, it's so obscure to find. Like, trying to find how to actually get like, we'll talk about it when we get there. It's nowhere as bad as some of the shit in like Kingsfield 2, though. Like, I'm assuming you've seen me play Kingsfield 2. It's the original American version. That's gonna piss me off saying that over and over, but you gotta remember, they're two different games. This also infinitely spawns spiders out that little hole. I've heard someone call this a grinding zone in an FAQ from like 2002, and I was like, excuse me? A grinding zone? Okay. You have areas like this in Kingsfield American as well, with the termite layer, which, hey, this kind of feels a lot like the bugs in the termite layer in Kingsfield American. Starting to make a little bit of sense, ain't it? So we can't go here later. I just wanted to come here to get some XP and get some of the loot that I'm gonna need. But yeah. If you're getting some deja vu, that's why. This is a very like I said, proof of concept. That's why I say the sequel does it 100% better. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more... It feels a little bit more modern. I love how I'm calling a game from like 1994 and 1996 modern, but you know, it's clearly you know, that kind of a game. But yeah, later Kingsfield games are actually really good, and you're also probably like, why do you like this so much? Other than Daggerfall, well, I think it's the atmosphere. I'm gonna share a little story with you, okay? So when I got into Kingsfield, I was going through like an existential crisis at like 20-something, and I'm 30 now as of recording this, but I played that and it felt like just like mind-numbing in a good way. Like it just sort of like was so monotonous and the music was so awkward and like the visuals are so... It's just a very bizarre... Oh, hi. Excuse me, I didn't see you there, bucko. I forget he has a corner spawn when you walk in that room. And I was just like completely out of my mind playing those games. Literally, I was completely dissociated, probably. I was doing nothing but going to work, being depressed, going to work, going to play nothing, and then being depressed. So, Kingsfield was a really weird experience in my mind, and it's oddly comforting. Because it feels like I've overcame a lot of the emotions and just kind of can absorb, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a strange, like, it feels good. So anyways, this is the first map in the game. It's called the Caretaker's map. Hey, this seems a lot like the Kingsfield American, but I can't sell it. I'm not sure if you could sell it in the, the Japanese version on PS1, but in this version we can't. And you know what? It's going to be an absolute pain in the ass. So I'm going to actually store it right now while I'm thinking about it. So what this does is we can just put it there, and you can see I should actually heal. I've actually gotten a lot of health, like from leveling up. Yeah, you don't actually get your health refilled when you level up, and I don't think any of the Kingsfield games, it's always just stays at whatever you have it at. That's how you know it's a hardcore game, okay? Nothing but hardcore video games for hardcore guys, okay? Real games for real guys. But yeah, you could sell the maps in the other ones, I know that for a fact. There's only 2 maps in this game. There's the Magician's map and the Caretaker's map. The Magician's map shows everything, including illusory walls, and I think everything but like a few areas in the game that makes sense why they wouldn't be on the map. There's also... what else? There's also the Truth Mirror, if you're familiar with that. So, trust me, there's a lot of, like I said, this feels very familiar. Oh, fuck you, dude, I pushed the button. Get out of that shit. Antidote if I actually do somehow get poisoned. Antidote can actually heal you 10 extra health back when you get, like, hit by it. Or, you know, use it, sorry. I'm a little tired. I've worked till, like, 6:30 every single fucking day this past, like, 3 weeks. Almost, actually 4 at this point. So, I'm a little brain rotted, unfortunately, but I want to get some videos out because I actually love doing it. And I need to get working on my next big boy project. See, look at that, fucking one-shotting head eaters. You guys thought I'm fucking cessful as shit. Can't fucking one-shot the enemies in this game. He's fucking lying. Yeah? What was that then? Motherfucker. Okay. But yeah, I love the Kingsfield games. There's something calming about this to me. It's a combination of how slow the games actually play with the weird ambience of it. So, hey, wait a minute, this seems familiar. Oh shit, I wonder if we just put the fountain up into use. I bet you money we did. So I'll see you guys in the next one.